fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow.
Hi, and welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 135th show, and my name is Rosemary Lachance, and I'm an energy healer and a spiritual therapist.
And I am Lisa Burton. I'm a heart-centered lifestyle coach, and we are the co-hosts for this thought-provoking series and are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their fields. If you know of any subjects that you would like us to discuss, or if you know of anyone you think would make an interesting guest, please do let us know. And please like us on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box, where you can learn about and see pictures of some of our past guests and ask questions and leave a comment. So please enjoy the show.
Okay, the title of the show tonight is called Doctor of the Soul, and our guest is Eve Kerwin, who is known as White Buffalo Woman, and she's a healer and a channeler. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Eve.
Thank you,
Welcome,
both of
Eve.
you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little brief bio about Eve. Eve is an accomplished shamanic healer and channeler, brings her clients profound messages of inspiration and guidance, working with each individual's spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical bodies. Eve's spiritual gifts enable her to connect to the energies of the archangels, to many exalted masters, to other teachers or personal guides, and at times to the higher self or inner child of the person being served. In all cases, what is being offered is the opportunity for growth and transformation. The messages that come through Eve can help the client gain an understanding of his soul's journey in relation to past lives, family, friends, mates, co-workers, or departed loved ones. Eve offers assistance in understanding and overcoming one's personal challenges and in connecting with one's true mission in life. Okay, the first question we always ask our guests is, how did your journey begin? What made you get into doing this kind of work?
Well, my story is quite interesting. This was the farthest thing from my mind. never would have ever thought that this is what I'd be doing at this time in my life. I began to have interest in understanding about spirituality. So I started reading and, attending workshops, and I was absorbing rather quickly. And then someone had shared with me about a channeler. He was a trance channeler. His name was Elwood Babbitt. He passed away more than a few years ago now, but he had written many books. And another friend of mine, we decided we were going to basically look him up. And at the time he was living in Massachusetts. So off we went for a day trip, and we made an appointment, and we met this man, and he worked with us individually, and he read us. Mm-hmm. And I was enthralled. I didn't even know what a channeler was, but he said to me, "You're going to be doing what I'm doing." And I couldn't believe he said this to me, and I wasn't grasping, really what he meant. But he brought forth much information, and information that I couldn't deny. Never met this man before, and he was pretty much on the money. So this really opened up a whole new way of thinking for me, and I returned to have sessions with him quite a few more times. And from Massachusetts he moved to Vermont. From Vermont he moved to Maine.
Oh, geez.
And we were still, my friend and myself were still visiting with him. And now he has passed over. But everything he said to me has been shown over all of these years. Very, very amazing. So obviously he was able to tap into me and see that I was basically going to be following in his footsteps. I mean, it wasn't that he taught me how to do what I'm doing, because I don't believe that you can teach someone to channel? Many, many people ask me that question. Can you teach me what you do? I can't. I would love to pass on what I do to someone else. I'd love to teach this, but you can't. This is truly what's within you.
Yeah, you're right.
It's definitely within, and it's a matter of timing when it will come forth. So it's really applying yourself and within and throughout your journey of your understanding. But when something like this comes through, wow, there's no turning back. There's no turning back. So my process was quite interesting, and it picked up very rapidly. And I was very dedicated to understanding, and I was absorbing very quickly much information that I would read. So I believe that that kept me focused. But there's so many comments I can make with this, but what really, I'll say, probably the deepest aspect of this whole phenomena for me was when my husband passed away. My husband passed away August 14th, 1994. And White Buffalo Woman, who is the spirit that my main and primary guide, she appeared to me on August 20th, 1994. So it was just a few days after he exited, he left, she came.
Wow.
So it was very rapid. So I believe, and I understand even more and more, even as these years have passed on now, have passed by. I mean, 94, that was 19 years ago. It's going to be 20 years this summer. So I've been doing this for quite a while now, and more has been exposed to me and absolutely shown to me and through me. So I cannot deny the whole process, but I believe that White Buffalo Woman, was working with me since my childhood, unbeknownst to me. I never understood it. And I believe that she was basically testing me. She was testing me out since I was a child to see if I had what it took to do what I'm doing today. In other words, if I, on some level, I don't believe this would have been a conscious decision, but through the subconscious, if I believed that I was not capable or I didn't want any part of this,
Right.
she would have stepped aside. But obviously there was something within me, and to this day I think about that a lot, and I don't know exactly where that came from, but there always was something within me that I don't know if it's to say challenge me, but I never turned my back on it. It was, I had paranormal experiences since I was a child, and many people, I think, would have run away from it. They would have pushed it away. But I was never fearful, and I wanted more. So obviously, I guess I was ripe for all of this to finally come forward, and here I am doing the work. So
this White Buffalo Woman, you refer to her as a spirit guide to you?
Yes, this is a true story. Anyone can research her. There's much information about her.
She once lived?
She did not. She was not in a full incarnation. No,
Okay.
She literally came from heaven and went back to heaven as a white buffalo. She came down from heaven as a beautiful Indian woman and went back up to heaven as a white buffalo. But the story is beautiful, and it's a true story. Would you like me to tell the story?
Yeah, it's not really take up the whole show, just a short story, right?
I'll try to
Yeah.
condense it, but anyone can really research the story, and even my book that I wrote, I tell the story.
Let me bring that up before
Yes.
while we're here. If they could focus on, well, actually, okay, if you can see this, it's called The Awakening, and it's the life and work of Eve Kerwin, White Buffalo Woman. Tells all about her journey and all about her and everything that's happened to her. It's a wonderful book, and you can purchase it in the store. or
you could, Amazon has, you could go
Yeah,
online.
Amazon or
I mean,
anything.
it's very easy to get.
Yeah.
Very easy to.
I think you'll find it very interesting. Okay, now tell us a story.
Well, I want to start by explaining the meaning of the buffalo. The buffalo is the only animal on Earth, that can totally sustain man. Very, very sacred animal. And this is why the Native American tribes, all the Native American people, honored the buffalo. So the buffalo is extremely sacred because the buffalo sustained them in every way, shape, and form. And so it was at the time of a great famine, and it was, everyone, all the plains people were dying because there was the food, they couldn't find food. And it was the Lakota Sioux tribe that she appeared to. And so what happened was the chief of the tribe was very concerned because he was losing a lot of his people through death, starving to death. And the medicine man of the tribe would confer with the chief, and the medicine man told the chief that they would be saved, that he received a vision from Great Spirit that a beautiful Indian woman would appear and save them. So the chief accepted it and understood it, and he believed that this would be so. Well, not that much time after the medicine man shared that information, she appeared. And what happened was the chief sent 2 braves out on the plains and said, go even further, whatever you can bring back, go wherever you can go, any type of food, whatever you can find, bring back to our people. These 2 braves went out there on the plains, and they saw this spinning disc type situation in the sky, and they thought maybe it was the sun. They didn't understand what it was, but it was spinning, and they were mesmerized by it, and it was coming closer and closer from the distance of the sky, and it came closer to them, and lo and behold, they realized it was a beautiful, beautiful Indian woman in a kind of like a whirlwind, and she wasn't on the ground, she was floating, and they approached her, and one brave said to the other brave, well, what are you doing? This is a sacred woman. And the brave said, well, not only have we been without food, we've also been without a woman. And the other brave said, this is a sacred woman. But he was mesmerized by her beauty. And he went towards her, and she destroyed him. She took him up into this little cyclone of energy and tossed his bones at the feet of the other brave.
Teach you when to go after a woman for sex, right?
Well, that was representing lust of man.
Lust, right.
So she told the other brave to go back to his people, to his chief, and to prepare for her coming. And they were to lay sage on the ground, and she was to step on the sage. She gave certain instructions. So he ran back to the chief and shared the story, and the chief knew that this was all part of the vision that the medicine man received. And sure enough, they prepared their encampment for her, and she comes walking into their little village there, whatever you want to call it, their encampment, and she was carrying a bundle, and she laid the bundle at the feet of the chief. He unwrapped the bundle. Inside of the bundle was a pipe. And this is the reason why the Native Americans began to smoke the pipe. Now we call it the peace pipe, but it's really the sacred pipe. And she taught them to pray through the pipe. The pipe represents God. And she taught them that this pipe represents oneness, masculine and feminine. The bowl of the pipe is the feminine. That's where the tobacco is placed, and the stem of the pipe is representing the masculine. So when you join the pipe with the stem, it's oneness. And she taught them to pray. You place the tobacco into the pipe, the tobacco rises and reaches the sky to Great Spirit, and Great Spirit will hear their prayers, and they will be blessed through Great Spirit. And she taught them all the rites and the rituals that the Native Americans practice today.
Oh, wow.
And this was incorporated through the Lakota Sioux, but then it was distributed through the other nations, Indian people, and this is why the sweat lodges, so forth, whatever the the rituals that the Native Americans bring through was through White Buffalo Woman's instruction and teaching.
Wow. That's
So
great.
it's a beautiful story, it's a true story. And when she left the people, she turned her physical body into a white buffalo. So there she was, this beautiful Indian woman turned into a white buffalo. The white buffalo turned into a black buffalo. It was still her, but now the buffalo was black. The black buffalo turned into a red buffalo. The red buffalo turned into a yellow buffalo. All her, and the yellow buffalo turned back to white. And then the white buffalo, which was her, walked away into the plains, into the wilderness, and then went back up to heaven. And this was representing the different races of man.
Right, that's right, yeah.
White for the white man, red for the red man, black for the black race, white for the Oriental
Yellow,
people.
yeah.
And her teaching was that we are all one and the same. No discrimination in any
Right.
way, shape, and form. We all carry the same red blood.
That's right. Yep.
It's all about love, understanding, brotherhood, unity. And this was her teaching. She was truly the peacemaker. So they call it the peace pipe, but it's truly the sacred pipe. And
Right.
this is why the Indians smoke the pipe. It's very
Wow,
sacred.
that's interesting.
It's a beautiful story. It's a true story.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very honored,
Yeah.
to put it very mildly, that you might say, she chose me to represent her. And she's been working with me since I was a child. I never shared this with anyone. I didn't understand it myself. As a young girl, I was very, very shy, extremely shy. I went to Catholic school. The nuns, taught me. They taught me well. And I believe that the Catholic school truly gave me the basis for my, I'll say, my concentration, my diligence, I'll say my perfectionism. And, it was through that teaching. It was the basis for me. But, she was working with me. It's very, very obvious to me now. I understand it all now, after all these years, what she was really doing with me.
Did you see her as a child? Did you see her?
What was happening to me as a child, and I didn't understand it at all. I was going into a trance state, which I do now when I do this work, when I bring through the work. But I was entering a trance state, and I didn't understand it. And I was a little frightened, and I said, oh my goodness, I'm probably going to die.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who to talk to.
Right, isn't that right? You don't know who to talk to.
And I never told anyone. And as a child, all I would say to myself was, oh, I feel so bad for my mom and dad because they're going to find me dead someday. I don't know what's happening to me.
Right.
But I was going in and out of this trance state, not understanding what it was. And now, this is all I do.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very amazing.
Wow. That's really something. Now you talked about past lives, how they affect us now in conjunction with our lives before. So you're able to tell people about their past lives when they come to see you?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe you could just give us a brief idea of how the past lives affect us in this life now.
Well, many people will say to me, why should we even care to know the past life? Past lives are past lives. The past is the past. We're living in the future.
Yeah, you hear that all the time.
And we're living in the now, and who wants to know about the past? But by understanding who you were from the past, you're able to heal your issues today. What's going on with you today is due to the past, because we continue to reincarnate. And so we're reincarnating to continue to elevate our soul and to clear out what we weren't able to work through from these other past lifetimes. So by understanding the past, you're able to put your life presently now in perspective, and it makes more and more sense. And it does to many people after I access that for them, because they're literally, in layman's terms, blown away, because they say, how would you know this? In other words, I'm making a comparison. This happened to you then, and now this is happening to you now, and they're saying, well, how would you know this is happening to you now? You know, I don't know them, but I'm able to put it together, and they themselves, their little aha goes off in their own head, and they're understanding why their life is going the way it is. So they're able to work through the issues much more quickly. Now, I work with psychiatrists and psychologists. I work with MDs as well. You know, they'll send me patients, and I'll always say to them, don't tell me the case history. Why? So I say a psychiatrist will call me up and say, Eve, I'm sending you so-and-so, there's the name of the patient. I say, don't tell me why they're seeing you. I like to discover this for myself. So the person comes to my home and has a session with me, and we do the process, and I'm able to tap in to tell them something. I'm accessing a past life. And it's always exactly why they're now in therapy with the doctor, because something has come up within them. They're not understanding it. It's from their past, and this is an issue that takes them to the therapist.
Right.
And the therapist is trying to, you know, it is helping them through. They come to me, and we go right to it, and then there's that information. So the therapists, the doctors tell me that it cuts the therapy in half, because now they know where to dig in more so to continue with the healing.
And what they did in the past life and what happened to them.
Yeah, it's truly the core of what's still unsettled there.
Right, right. Sorry. Now, just going to say, you mentioned the word process. Can you describe your process?
The process is very unusual, very unique. Each channeler and healer, of course, you know, has their own way, but the process for me is that I am in a trance state, and the connection is made through the breath. My breathing becomes extremely rapid. I'm huffing and puffing, huffing and puffing. The breath is keeping my physical body connected to the higher worlds. The breath acts as an antenna. So the breath takes me into the trance, and then I'm totally out of my body. I literally walk out of my body. White Buffalo Woman literally walks in. I walk out, she walks in. I'm behind my body. So I'm seeing everything and I'm hearing everything. And now she has entered through my solar plexus, and the process begins, and she begins to speak. I'm speaking in the ancient Lakota tongue. So the person in front of me is most likely not understanding what I'm saying, but that's okay, because your higher self is understanding everything, and it's all, you know, vibrational flow. But when I explain the process to the client, I always say, don't worry about that yet. You will get the interpretation throughout the process. So I start with the ancient tongue, and what she's talking about, White Buffalo Woman, is in a capsule form. She's basically giving the person the synopsis version of why they are them this lifetime, what's really in there, what's going on in their soul. Then my hands begin with light little touches to touch the person, and it looks like I'm working with nuts, bolts, and screws. I'm twisting, turning, pulling, chopping, disconnecting, and I'm working with the electromagnetic field of energy. Now, what that means is the electromagnetic field of energy is 12 feet above you, below you, around you. It's your protective coating, which reaches 12 feet around, above, below. And so even if my hand is touching you on your shoulder, I may be right there. You can see my hand, you can feel my hand on you, but I could be working 3 feet, 5 feet away, which means that, say, for example, it would take 4 or 5 years for a physical challenge to connect through the physical body. It already connected through the spiritual body, the mental body, the emotional body. But the physical body is the last body that it connects through, whatever your challenge is. And the physical body is the last body because that's when it gains your attention. When your physical body has the ache, the pain, or the physical challenge of an illness, it's gained your attention. But it went too far. Now it's in the physical body. The goal is to have it released while it's still in the spirit, the mental, and the emotional body. And so, therefore, if I'm touching someone's shoulder, either something is really going on there now presently due to something that's already locked in, or I can also push something away that is coming towards you that may take another 4 or 5 years, another 2 years to come and manifest through the physical, and I can eradicate it.
Wow.
So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So the process is I'm working with the physical body. I can go from the top of the head to the tip of the toe to the back of the knee like this. My hands are moving very rapidly all over the body, wherever I have to go. I'm pulling and chopping and, eliminating. I'm an empath as well. So what that means is wherever I'm touching you, say I'm touching you on the shoulder and I react and I go, ooh, it looks like I'm in physical pain, I'm wincing in pain, I'm reacting to where the blockage is. I can feel it. And it feels like I'm hitting a stone wall through my stomach, through my solar plexus. So I go, ooh, because it's kind of painful and I'm feeling the pain. So I know how to get the pain out, and I know how to not allow the pain to
stay with
me. So I'm reacting. But, and the person, many times the people can feel the release. Some people can feel it, some people can't. It depends on how in tune you are to feeling energy. But many people, if they don't feel it, they'll even call me up a couple days later or a few weeks later or even months later, and they'll say, when I was at your home and had that session, I didn't really physically feel anything, but now I can't deny that something has happened. So you're processing what we brought through the healing. And some people it's instantaneous, and other people they have to work it through. But it comes off in layers. So, it just depends on what we're addressing. We could be addressing the mental body, which may be a situation that maybe can be released much more easily than something more locked into the physical. So there's all different levels of this, but the process is all the same. So I'm working with the physical body this way, with my hands moving like wildfire all over the physical body. And then once that's completed, then White Buffalo Woman speaks to them again in that ancient tongue, and she's giving them an update of what just transpired. Of course, most likely the person won't understand that, but now what happens is that now she's going to disconnect and leave my solar plexus, and she stays to my left. She'll stay to the left of my body in a holding position, and then my breath becomes even more rapid for about 30 seconds, and another spirit now comes in, will enter as she did, and this is the interpreter, and this spirit will speak in English and give the information to the person standing in front of me. The spirit will identify who it is who's speaking, and then like wildfire give them the story and the information. So the spirit is interpreting basically what just transpired while I was doing this, all these releasings, you know, with the physical and the other bodies, of course. And now this is when the accessing of the past lives come through, because a story will be told, and they go back into time. They go back to that time, that main, I'll say main lifetime that the person really needs to understand in conjunction to what's happening presently now. So they give them the whole story. I'm seeing it while we're bringing it through. I'm seeing the vision of what they're talking about. I see the person, the way they looked in that life, the way they were dressed. I see the whole scenario, the whole scene. And so the person is listening to their story. And this is also helping the release. Even if they don't like what they hear, you may like what you hear, you may love what you may not like what you hear, and you may love what you hear. I'm only the messenger.
Right.
But I need to tell it like it is. And this starts the process of the release, and it's unbelievably effective. I mean, I could talk about case histories of how this worked, but
Yeah, you want to give us a few of those, you know, give us a couple of case histories. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm just blown away by your experience, and I'm wondering what it was like for you the first time this started happening to you.
I mean, I don't even know if I can even put it into words. I mean, White Buffalo took me every step of the way. It was all through her teaching me. It was divine intervention, total divine intervention.
And what faith you must have had.
I mean, it became more and more exciting. I mean, it was just, I can't even describe it, really. It really has been an amazing experience.
It's all in your book.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they read the book, there's so much in there to read. We're always of the theory that when you have an illness, physical, something's wrong, mental, that something from the past life or this life needs to be worked out. You need to set it free. You need to find out what it is that you've done wrong, make amends, and then it
Yes.
can be released. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make that clear that we're in agreement with that.
Yes.
So you help them to do that.
Yes.
And that's great. That's wonderful.
Even if they don't accept it,
Yeah.
if they hear a story that they say, well, this is upsetting, I don't want to hear this. Well, you know, I'm sorry it upset you, but this is what you needed to hear so that you can start your healing. And, you know, sometimes it's pretty heavy information, but it's so beneficial for the release. I mean, the case histories, I mean, I could talk for hours about case histories. I mean, there's case histories in my book, but the book should have been so much thicker because the publisher said, you're giving too much information, you know, write another book. But, you know, it's quite a project to write a book, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'll have more books eventually to write. But, you know, some of the case histories really shows how the person went from A to Z from their own process of what happened to them. Total transformation.
Do we have time to go?
Yeah, we've got half hour, and I do want to hear about your drum also, and about the house clearing. So maybe you can give us one or two short ones, and then, or maybe we can finish this and then go back to the case histories. How would you like to do that?
Sure.
Yeah, that
Can you do that? Okay. All right. Briefly, I guess again, because I really want. Well, let me tell us about your drum. I want to get that in. I'm just so fascinated with that.
The drum is really how White Buffalo Woman connected. What happened was, I have a friend. He is Native American, and he also is a healer. And I knew him before I was a healer. And he said to me, after my husband passed away, he said, you need to work with a drum. He said, you need to get a drum and hit that drum every day and work with it. And I said, I live in Connecticut. I don't know where I'm going to get a drum. At the time, he's lived all over the country. But at the time he told me that, I forgot where he was living. I don't know. He's been in Alaska and Arizona. He's been all over. But the point is, he said, you need to find a drum. I said, well, I don't know where I can get a drum. He said, I know a drum maker. He said, a very good drum maker who's out in the Midwest. And I'll give you his name. So I called this drum maker, and the drum maker said, yes, I'll make you a drum. And he said, I bring through a journey. I do a journey for you, and I'll give you information about you personally after I do this. I said, great. And well, it took a few weeks, and I called him at the appointed time, and I couldn't believe what he told me. He said, there were so many guides that came forth for me. He never saw anything like it. He said in his history of making these drums, he also passed away, unfortunately. But he said the room was filled with guides for me. He said he never saw anything like it, tons of guides. And but he said one guide stepped from the back of the room and said, I'm the one who needs to talk to you. I'm the one. So he said, well, who are you? And the guide introduced him to the drum maker, and he said, my name is Alofi, A-L-O-F-I. And he's an African medicine man who was my son-in-law in a past life when I was queen of an African village. I had a lifetime when I was queen of an African village. He was the medicine man, and my daughter today, my daughter Marla, was married to Alofi. So he was my son-in-law. And he is now working with me behind the scenes, and he is the one who brings me into the trance. When I enter my trance state, Alofi is the one who's bringing me into the alignment. He aligns my four bodies, you know, to bring me into this process. Well, the drum maker was amazed with the information Alofi had to tell him. And Alofi told him, you're to paint on her drum a bear paw. And so the drum maker said, why a bear paw for her? He said, because when a bear goes into hibernation, the bear is sleeping. When the bear wakes up, you know, he comes out of hibernation and he's ready for business. He said, Alofi told the drum maker, her soul is waking up. So the bear paw will represent that she's awakening to and through spirit. So I said, wow, this is interesting. So I couldn't wait to get the drum. He told me this before the drum came in the mail. He shipped the drum to me. As soon as this drum came, boy, I worked with this drum every day. Now, my husband had just passed away. I would be in my bedroom, close the door, and I'd be alone there in the house, and I'd start hitting that drum, and it was very rapid what happened to me. I was able to, my kundalini, which is the energy center at the base of your spine,
Base your spine, yeah.
broke free from the drum. And I started going into deep trance, and my hands were starting to do mudras and all these things. I couldn't put my hand down like this if I wanted to. My hand would automatically, my hands would move. I had no control. Something was definitely happening to me. But it was becoming more and more exciting as I said that. So it was always in 2-week intervals. This started for 2 weeks with all the hand movements and the body movements, which I couldn't stop. 2 weeks after that, I was going into a trance state, which I said, I don't know what's happening with this. Then the day came when White Buffalo Woman appeared and came through. I couldn't believe it. My first thought was I was going to die because the pain was so intense, but it was bliss. Very intense, but it was bliss.
You felt pain?
It was pain. She came in and started in the solar plexus, where she comes in every time I'm in the trance. But she connected through the solar plexus, and it was, she inched energetically up my body. When she got to my chest, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. My husband passed from heart attack, and I said, oh my goodness, my children are going to find me dead. I'm going to die the same way my husband died. My children are going to come home and they're going to find me in this. This was what was going on in my head. Little did I know it was her. My heart, it was unbelievable. I really felt that was it. I was dying. But it felt like it was stuck here. Then that moved and it went up, 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 up into my throat, and bing, I started to channel. Uncontrollably, I couldn't stop it if I wanted to. Again, I couldn't stop it. And so every day after that first experience, I would do the same process every day with the drum, and every day now it was easy. It just came right through, and I would start to channel. So what I did after a 2-week period, I said, I'm going to record this. I took a little tape recorder at the time. We don't have those tape recorders anymore, but I took a little tape recorder and a blank tape, put it in, and when the channeling came, I said, I'd like to hear this myself, play it back when I'm, really concentrating on it. I couldn't believe what I heard. Now, it was only me in the bedroom. The drum was on the, I hit the drum, for so long, and then I would put the drum down, and I started the channel, and I would record it. When I played the tape back, in the background of the tape was somebody drumming. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, it's only me. How can this be? Did it the next day again. For 2 weeks straight, I would put a tape in for 2 weeks straight. Same process, 2 weeks straight. Somebody would be drumming in the background of just me in the room. A low-fi. It was a low-fi. Now...
Low-fi in spirit.
In spirit.
Yeah.
And I would hear it on the tape.
Right.
But the amazing thing is, I can't even tell you how many of the clients that come to my house, they would tape their sessions, they would go home, listen to their tape, they would hear
The drumming?
the drumming on the tape. So he would make it known for those who really needed to get the point across. Many times when I'm working in a group format, with people now, the drum will ping on its own. The drum is always to my left, but the drum will ping, and people can't deny it. They jump, they say, what was that? How did that happen? You weren't even touching it. It's the exclamation point through spirit of what I'm saying. Spirit is saying, what just was said, that's what you need to concentrate on. So this drum is very sacred. It's been with me all over the world.
Can you give us a little small
Little drum?
sample of drumming?
Well, just very basic, this is my beautiful drum. It's been in the pyramids
beautiful.
6 times. I've done many ceremonies, and it's been all over the world, but I use the drum when I clear homes, businesses, and properties. This is how I do it, through the drum. But we could talk about it if you'd like to. It's a whole
care
other
about that.
process. Yeah,
That's
I
nice.
felt that right here.
Yeah, I was just getting all,
very
goosebumpy.
sacred. Yes, my
wonderful.
best friend.
I feel animals associated with it. That's the bear, right?
Yes,
And I could feel animals around when were doing that. Yeah.
and it's in my healing room all the time in my house. And sometimes when people come to visit me, and they'll say to me, we'd like to sit in the healing room instead of the living room. We'll sit and we'll just be in conversation, and the drum will respond to what I'm saying. And they can't believe it. I think that's why they want to sit in that room.
Right.
But it's just so beautiful, really. Yeah, I'm very thankful. Very thankful.
Well, like you're for me, because I love animals and I love Native Americans and what they stand for and what they believe and what they do and how sacred they are. They're just wonderful people. Somebody once said, if we left the world to the Native Americans, we have a much better world now than we have. We're just talking about that with someone.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to tell us about house and property clearing?
Yes. This is one aspect of my work that
15 minutes, okay.
I've been flown all over the world for this one aspect. People who realize that there's ghosts in their home, and they've tried everything and the ghosts won't leave, or they've had other people come in and try to clear and the ghost is still there. they fly me here, there, and everywhere. And the difference is, what I do is I'm working interdimensionally. So I use the drum, and the beater of the drum becomes a divining rod. So I'm beating the drum, and when I find something that's blocked energetically, or if there's something negative, and then I beat it away. But I'm able to move rather quickly. You know, it's like I'm going like this up and down the walls, the ceiling, wherever the space, the land, whatever, and I can feel when there's something there that should not be there. Because I can feel energy, and I can go right to it, and again, I can transmute it, and I place whatever shouldn't be there into the dimension where it needs to go. So it's very deep, and it's very, very transformational, and people can't believe the difference in their homes, what happens. I mean, many medical doctors, which I'm thrilled to see, more and more doctors are starting to understand all this. But one doctor called me up and he told me, I have a patient that's literally a hypochondriac. There's really nothing wrong on a physical level, but this woman is constantly, every ache, pain, and this and that. And he said to her, I think your house needs to be cleared. So he put her in contact with me, and sure enough, oh my goodness, did it need to be cleared? And she was being affected on the physical level, and I see this quite often. Many times I do find as well, people, cancer situations, it's something in the home. Right. Or in the property, in the land, or there's so many variables to it. But there's been a lot of negative things too that forces that. I have to do an exorcism. I've done exorcisms, deep things. But we always prevail. Like Buffalo Woman, always comes through.
Do you think as we're getting more conscious as a society that people are more sensitive to things like that?
The veils are becoming thinner, as we hear everyone say. It's true. The dimensions are becoming thinner. So more and more, especially the children, the young children even more so, are picking up much of this, more so than we adults. I mean, they can really feel it more so. Their souls are so young. You know, they're young. They just came in. And, you know, they haven't been here as long as we have. So yes, it's being understood more and more.
I think that's great.
Yes.
That a medical doctor would
I work
refer.
with many medical doctors. They take me into the hospitals. They send me patients. I've helped countless women become pregnant that couldn't conceive. But again, it's due to a blockage that they'll never find. The women have been through all this in vitro, all these hormones, the husband's tested, they've done everything, and they can't. There's a chapter in my book, a case history of a situation that this couple came, they were in their 40s, couldn't conceive, and they said, we're running out of time, and would you try? And sure enough, there was a blockage. Told her what happened in a past life. She didn't like what she heard, but I said, sorry, that's what happened. That's why you have not conceived. I pulled it out, and she got pregnant like this after 20 years of trying. She was pregnant within a month, and she now has 3 children.
Wow.
But that's just one case history. I mean, I've helped countless women become, if they're able to. I mean, each case is different. But many times, yes, extremely successful, yes.
How did they hear about you? How did you start out? I mean, how did the word get around?
I believe that, and this is how I've done it from day one, and this is how I will continue to do it. Spirit will connect people who need to find me. They will find me one way or another. It's all orchestrated divinely. I don't advertise what I do. I've been able. I've sustained myself. When my husband passed almost 20 years ago, my children, I still was the support. This has sustained me, but it's divine intervention. You know, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're on your path, Spirit is your advertiser. Spirit is your computer. Spirit is, it's Spirit.
Well, you know, you've been very brave, because these things that happened to you, you had no one to talk to about it.
Yes, yeah.
And you just trusted.
Yes, I did.
You must have known in your heart and soul it was a good thing.
I felt, you know, it wasn't that I was afraid. I wasn't afraid. It was kind of exciting to me, because I wasn't harmed. I'm saying, but how can this have happened? Many, many paranormal experiences.
Really?
There's some in the book, but as I say, the book should have been that much thicker.
Yeah.
I had unbelievable paranormal experiences. So it just kept me trying to understand more and more and more. It just kept my mind open.
So you are able to work with groups and couples?
Yes, I
How
work
does that
with
work?
groups. I have filled ballrooms. I can do different formats for depending on, how many people are in, each situation. I can work with smaller groups, 10 people, 20 people. Or I could work with hundreds and hundreds of people.
Wow.
But it's all very deep and beneficial. I mean, whatever you're receiving what you need at the time, and even if my hands sweep you, you're getting a major realignment. It's quite interesting, yeah.
When you have a big group, though, that doesn't tire you out?
Oh my goodness, I can't sleep then. It's like a natural high because the energy is just continually crescendoing up and down, and I'll be up all night. It's just...
Yeah, well, that's what, I want to get across to people. If you're doing what Spirit does, tells you to do, and Spirit is working through you, you should never be exhausted.
Exactly.
If you give of your own self,
absolutely true.
if you're giving of your own will and your own body, then you're going to be exhausted.
Yes.
Then you're going to get sick and so forth and so on, right?
This is absolutely true.
Yeah.
I know many healers across the country that had to step away, step aside from healing. They became ill because they're not really working the energy properly, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not letting Spirit work through them.
Yeah.
They're giving of their own will.
It's total surrender.
You have
to
right.
totally surrender.
They know better than us. They
Yeah.
know what they... Okay.
Yeah.
So she's with you always, right?
Always. She's with me always.
That's
yes.
really nice. Do you want to give us a case history or two? We've got about maybe 8 minutes left. 5 minutes?
Oh, let's see. Okay. It was a case history. This was maybe 2-3 years ago, at least 2 years ago. A doctor called me in on a case history with a patient that she was continually having kidney and bladder infections, and they couldn't understand why. The doctors were baffled. She'd have to stay in the hospital, all the intravenous and everything. And the doctor said, this particular doctor said to me, "We cannot keep giving her all this medication. We just can't. But that's the only thing that clears this situation. We can't figure out why this is happening. Would you evaluate this?" I did. As soon as I saw her, immediately, I didn't even touch her. As soon as I saw her, I could see what the situation was. The woman was in her 70s, and I clearly saw that when she was younger, she had had a miscarriage. And the cord, now of course, when you have a miscarriage, that was a potential child to be born. But the miscarriage, the potential ended, of course, but the cord of that soul never left her body. It was still hooked into her. And so I asked her, I said, "Did you ever have a miscarriage?" And she said, "Yes, I did." And I said to myself, there it is. And so I went in there, I did the session, and I disconnected her from the cord. And I said to the doctor, "This is the reason why." And he said, "Oh, I don't know." He said, "This sounds a little crazy. You're telling me because she had a miscarriage, this is why now, all these years later, she's had..." I said, "I'm telling you, this is what is the actual reason why." I said to him, "I'm going to prove to you that this is the reason why." I said, "You're going to see, she's not going to have this situation anymore." And he said, "Well, Eve," he said, "if this is the case, you're really going to make a believer out of me with this one." I said, "Well, you will believe after this." He was a man of his word. He told me that he was going to keep me informed, and he was going to keep calling me to tell me she never had another infection. So this is how it works. And I say to people, especially when I lecture, utilize the healers today. This is what we're here for. It could be something that the doctors, we need doctors, of course, but these doctors will never find this. This is energetic.
Right,
These
because
are
that's a spiritual
blockages.
cord you were talking about.
It's a spiritual cord.
Right.
They will, just like when a woman can't become pregnant, if there's a blockage there, again,
Right.
on a cellular level,
Right.
whatever test they do, you could keep being with this in vitro a million times. It's not going to work. There's something blocking it. So try it. You know, you're going to gain in one way or another from it. You know, it's really, and this is why I'm so thrilled to see that it is changing. When I first started doing this work, people thought like, she's, you know, do we believe this woman?
Yeah,
Now, it's like, wow.
You've proven it, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear things like self when I'm going to do a healing or something. Well, if you can get rid of that, or with my animal, or me, it'll make a believer out of me. And I go, well, but then they don't try.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, but I think that the consciousness level of people is raising now.
Yes.
We're all raising, you know, and it's a time when, I go on a limb, when Christ said he was going to come back again, I never felt he was coming in a body. He's coming in spirit.
Exactly.
And his spirit is in now more and more people, right?
Absolutely.
You agree? Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's what's helping to raise our consciousness.
Yes.
So
People think that he's going to come back like
Yeah.
he did that.
I know.
He's finished with that part. He did it.
Can you imagine what they would do if he came back in a body?
So
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, that's all. You're right. That's all over.
Yeah.
But that's what it means, coming into our consciousness and
Yes.
raising our consciousness. And like you said, people are becoming more and more aware of all this right now.
More awakening. The
Yes.
title of your book is so appropriate.
Yeah, it is the awakening. It really is. Well, I'll tell you, this has been very, very interesting. I mean, we could ask you, 100 other questions, but I know that, it's in the book, and people really should. Let me put it up here one more time. The Awakening. All right, and if you miss any of this, you can give me a call, or Lisa. You can get in touch with us, and we'll put you in touch with Eve. We're going to give you her information now so that you can call her, but if you miss it, get in touch with us. You want to read that, Lisa?
Sure. So to contact Eve Kerwin, White Buffalo Woman, she's healer and channeler. Her phone number is 203-322-3689. Please note, you need to be patient. If Eve does not return your call immediately, she often travels for groups and seminars, but will return all calls as soon as possible. And can I just add also that you are not a website person?
No.
So
Right,
just
there's no
phone-
website, no email. Nope.
Well, there is a website. It's extremely basic. I will not reply. I mean, there is information you could find on me at on the computer. There should be a lot of information, but not
Nothing
too
get in
many
touch with
people
you.
put it in, or I don't want to operate that way.
Right.
I wouldn't be emailing. I would
Right.
be inundated, and I like to hear the voice on the phone and have the actual conversation with the person. I
Okay.
like that. We're losing a lot. I mean, technology is wonderful in one way, but we're losing a lot.
We are.
Connection.
Connection with each
we're
other.
losing it.
We really are.
These children today. I mean, I'm kind of concerned about this. I mean,
I know.
they're losing communication skills.
I know.
How to interact with people. It's
You're
not,
absolutely right. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to be closing.
Thank you.
And I'm going to read the quote, and we'll give there's our information. All right, let's give that.
To learn more information about this show or any of our past shows, please contact us at healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com. To reach Rosemary, her number is 203-627-7966. Website, www.rosemarylachance.com. My phone number, 203-804-0024, or my website is theonejoy.com. We're also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box.
And I'll read this quote really quickly. And it is, "We change our behavior when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. Consequences give us the pain that motivates us to change." And that's by Henry Cloud, who was a Native American.
Beautiful.
Okay, well, that's it for tonight, folks. We hope you enjoyed the show. And get in touch with us and this
Night.
wonderful woman. Maybe we'll have her back again one day. It would be great.
Thank you. I'd love to.
Oh,
Thank
that'd be
you.
great.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Lisa and Rosemary.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Bye.
from your hand. Feel the comfort flow inside you. come this far.